All right, everybody, we'll get started with the City of Vermont public hearing 2027 proposed budget. Thank you all for coming. First, you guys have on that. So we'll get moving on to it. So for the total general government, the FY26 budget is $2,966,109, and the proposed budget for FY27 is $3,326,871. Moving on to the police and fire, street and public safety. In 2026, the budget was $8,237,790. $941. $27 is $69,246. Total division was $140,126 for FY26. $751,738. First one, FY26, $3,309,691. The total budget for FY26 $491. Total community services for the FY26 was $942,023, and the FY27 is $951,432. The total city debt CIP in FY26 was $1,523,003. And FY27 is $2,379,750. The school operating budget for FY26 was $24,610,610,113. And for FY27 county tax for FY26 $2.5 million. County tax for FY27 was $79,369. FY27 of $44,465,564 for FY26. The FY26 fund is $47,134,570. Other city funds, which include school education grants, school food services, recreation activity fund, rural industrial development, grant fund total, sewer fund total, with capital and debt service, Gates Hill landfill, from airport with capital, city funds, which comes to the FY26 is $12,586,423, and for FY27 $1,825. And then for FY26, $751,900. The total for FY7 is $50,795. you can see that there are things that are in the budget and in a lot of ways. The council has spent a lot of time focused, I think, this year on most with the fine-tooth comb, turning it forward, make cuts where we can make cuts. It's a tough job, and there are a lot there that say that we can do it better. I encourage you all to at that point now, I'll look for public comments.
Okay, hey, okay. Well, people that are in there, you know, we don't, you probably do, but we don't. How many superintendents, how many principals, how many vice principals, how many secretaries and principals, how many secretaries and vice principals? All those jobs that are there that, the amount of students we have, compared to when I was in school, I know we gotta have, stone and chisel and everything when I was there, but the budget is still up to provide. You know, you got people that are fixed income like myself, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. A lot of people out there, you probably find a lot more people that will show up too if they're more friendly, way of getting into the public community. Because I'll tell you, there's, like I'm negotiating with Kane, I can imagine somebody that's even more elderly than me, how I'm, yeah, but I've seen the budget for one convent. They go through and they list people and how much they make. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people that in the school department. I do know that another thing is if you're going to be a department head, you should live in Berlin. If you're going to be running this system, we shouldn't have to pay for you to travel back and forth, going home and back. I know that when I worked for myself, when I worked in the mill, not once did they pay my wages, not my wages, but my transportation. So I had to pay my own. And some of these numbers are still quite high as far as I'm concerned, especially for what we have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. King.
Hello, my name is Peter. I'm listening to council. Time to speak. I was advised by the city council that she forwarded my letter to the mayor and council. If anybody didn't get a copy, I'm more than happy to give you. Thank you. I'd like to start in my letter up here, and then I have questions. Again, Mr. Robert Coleman, City Council, subject, thank you for your services. I'd like to address the state downshifted. Dear Robert Coleman, member council of the City Council, I am right to express my sincere gratitude, continued hard work, dedication, in leadership and guiding our community. Balancing a municipal budget in this era is a rising cost, is a difficult task, and I deeply appreciate effort in to ensure Berlin remains a vibrant place to live. I'm particularly concerned about the ongoing issues of downshifting, with state legislation contribution, revenue sharing, on property taxes, raising taxes in cover surfaces. Neither of which are acceptable outcomes. Thank you for your ongoing efforts to push back against these unfunded mandates and fighting on behalf of Berlin's property tax. I encourage the council to continue standing strong against Concord's cost shifting, and please know that I support your advocacy for adequate state funding and local needs. This will be a great benefit for our son who relies on choices for independence to remain in our community. Thank you again for listening to our constituents and for continuing services to the city of Berlin. Which brings me to my two questions. My first question is, could the mayor and council please explain what mayor and council are doing to public policy? My second is, does the mayor and council intend to explore options for hosting council meetings in venues that are accessible to all members of the public, including those watching this expected? Thank you.
Second question, about the work with this building, getting this area moving back. But we're exploring an option where we would put in what's called a localized low-use elevator right out here. Because our biggest problem is we don't own any real estate. A lot of times buildings, you put an elevator shaft outside and make it stop at a bunch of floors, solves your problem. We don't own the real estate around this building, except for here.
Would you consider venues in different public places, the college, the school?
That one would be a question for the city council, but I can tell you for the lift. So what would happen is you go from the street to this level. Then you'd go out there and we'd have the stairs that you could go up and get in from the street. Not the best solution, but it still would allow mobility to go to the meeting room, to go down stairs. It's an issue when you have a building like this, wheels change so much that if you look that staircase down there, if you look, there's a hole in the ceiling. We actually did exploratory work to see if we could move sound. It got so large that we played the original one. Right over these I'm going to defer to the mayor on that. And on the advocacy piece, I'm guessing you're talking about public policy as it relates to like school funding, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, you're okay with me? So I know that we have a state representative on the council, and I know that on many occasions the council has reviewed bills and other items and has brought them up. The biggest issue that we have is we're a tiny fish in a huge pond. 400 legislatures in the House of Representatives. I think at some point it's going to require more than just the city of Berlin. If you've ever heard the term herding cats, that's pretty much like what legislation is like. And I think the council does an okay job of it when it's reactive more than proactive, but it's by design.
No, I believe that Berlin is the strong for up here for the unfunded mandate. So that was really, really good to read because, but I think it helps the public to know what we're working on, where we're going. Because, personally, when I look at all of that, it goes more than just a school. It goes every one of the mandates. I have been fighting this issue for 32 years because Medicaid has been underfunded on the county level, on the state level, on the level. It's been very emotional. I want to leave the emotions out of it because we have a very constructive council. It's not easy, and I'm not saying by any means I can do better. I just have a few ins with the state, they're familiar with my name, and, I have a lot of questions, and I'm sure they have questions for them. I had to step out for many reasons. It was easy in dealing with me getting back to all of this again because of my health. But I think if we approach it, we have to resolve it. It's not fair for any of us. And I'm sure your job's not easy. So thank you very much. I appreciate everyone and continue your good work. Thank you.
I want to thank you for your comments and your homework. When the state of New Hampshire, when they pulled back on their portion of the retirement system, it's huge. We lost that vote by 15 votes this year. So 7% of all retirement for all employees Group 1 and 2. That would have been huge for us.
I read that all the time.
We need to get more people on board to be able to get those votes.
Yeah.
Well,
I agree.
right, and it's a matter of, as was said, there's only 9 of us, and most of the time on the short end, we're trying to negotiate to do, when it comes to a vote for the pro-laws for the North Country, and we work together to try and do what we can. We were able to flip some votes this year, the number that we had, and hopefully in the future, that's what we can do to get that.
So I've always said that identifying the problem is 90% of the solution. When it comes to something like the mandates, it doesn't mean much to me, because they're vague. But one thing I was, give me a list of funded mandates and start to address those. I can't tell you that the legislature up here is willing to work with us and work through these issues. The issue where they had identifiers that were about to be killed, and they were about 40 votes, and I know guys work through their coalitions that they've built to protect our industry up here, and they were able to flip that, and actually move that 40 votes. So the real problems is where we start, because I'm telling you, mandates. We can start
Right now, so the other day. But we'll take that to another meeting, and I'll let whoever needs to do what they need to do.
All right, and then for the second question, we explore options for other venues meetings where we have coffee with the council and mayor. The four of them have been here, and then it was brought up to me saying like handicap access. So the last one we did was at the VFW. So I tried to do that quarterly, but I missed the last one because we've just been so busy. So we'll schedule up another one. It'll be at the VFW where it'll be easy access for handicap. Oh yes, and live stream. That's good. Oh yes. All right. Any other public comments or questions? Yes, sir. And another petition. Yes, sir.
The other thing is, our only way we got the money, combine it to, we don't need all the people, and plenty of other towns have 2, 3 different areas that have combined SAU, and those school budgets, the system seems to be doing very well. Yes, I know there'll be a little bit of transportation, but that's our way to thought. You know, between insurance, between wages, and retirement, and all the other benefits that they get. Plus, they're all, the administration is 6-figure people. I mean, come on. How many people in this area make 6 figures? So, well, then they're good, then they can afford their taxes. Raise yours and lower mine. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. King. Is there anybody else that would like to speak this evening? Yes, sir. Come on up, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Chris. 31 Willard Street.
I didn't get your name again, sir. What was it?
Chris Dupont.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I want to say that I'm going to go tomorrow with this guys. Bought a house here 4 years ago. $1,600. I go looking for that. What house is that? My house. Cross town is lowest. Taxpayer events like so $1,850. You look at the other counties in the state, they increase their tax rates for the cigarettes as the taxes in the country $1,500, $2,000, up to $4,000. I think you know. I can see it. I can't go out there.
Sir, I'm so sorry. Can you speak into the mic?
Better.
Can you walk your back?
I can't go out and get another job. I'm on 4 years in services. I can't even high. My ambitions on the side. How many times this side works about my cat's house. I went to his school. I live on Willard Street next to the school. How many times was I done? 4 times. Last year, the day before, I was like 30 o'clock in the morning. I fixed my car and I got it set for myself. See, you're going to reevaluate my house this summer. That is what taxes are. That's probably what it is. People have tax cap. There's going to be another raising taxes. If they go to tax cap, then there has to be some give as well. The state pays for it. My income's not going up. I was living from the government. They went there, they raised my medical bills, they raised my insurance, whatever. So when I get money, I like to live in this town, retire in this town, without any management. My
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, sir.
My name is Brian. I just want to let you know that I am a senior citizen. I am on just Social Security. I have to work to make ends meet. I want to support my community. And I think a 95-cent tax increase to the community is fair, given the fact that inflation is now at 3.8%, and petroleum products are going through the roof. I am quite sure that between the chemicals that are used in the wastewater plant and the water treatment plant, those prices are crazy. I looked at your final number, and you're increasing the budget about $600,000 over the last year. I think that you've done a pretty damn good job. It's not easy. You're going to have some people that are going to complain. That's the life that we live in. But I got to tell you, from the 10,000-foot view, I think the council's done a good job. And, you know, you should be proud of yourself. But, you know, there are dark clouds, and, you know, one of the dark clouds that I see is the city manager that's ready to retire. You have the city planner ready to retire. You have a fire chief ready to retire. You have your pollution control operator retire. You have all men in this community that are probably going to be retiring in the next 3 years. Have you developed some type of a succession plan for the community? Because if you haven't, you better get on your horses. Because city mail drop out on trees. I don't know if any one of you were here when we went through the last search for city manager. You know, what used to get 100 people to apply, and I'm quite sure that problem hasn't gotten any better. So, you know, we can talk about all this and that, but if we're going to continue as a community, because I'm sure they all rely on your department head to figure cuts to their budget, arrive at the document that you have here tonight. And if you have 4 or 5 green within their first year of operation, they're going to miss them. So I implore you to develop a plan. Plan number 1, also in the fall after you take it easy for the summer. You should be working on developing a session plan, because that's real. And beyond that, you know, I was retirees, and there are of us in this week that support our community, and we want to support our community. I've had the good fortune, or the not so good fortune of using the fire department for ambulance service for my wife. What a professional group of employees that we have. I was very proud of how they handled my wife. And, you know, this is a situation where when I was on the council, we were criticized for making that change. But we now have a professional service that we made it. People criticizing us, we didn't know what we were doing, we were stupid. But we got the last laugh, and we got a much better service. So my hat's off to you. Keep up the good work. Don't be bashful. Arrows, just be tough with it. And, you know, keep plugging. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. there anybody else this evening speaking? Where's the budget? Yes, sir. Come on up. You have the record.
My name is Jonathan Levy, 3 First Ave, Burlington. We're here just to support the fire chief in his efforts to make a very fair budget. The original budget that the chief made, if you were to look back before we had EMS, is almost identical to our 2024 budget. So our 2024 budget did not reflect any EMS revenues. It also didn't include the money that we paid out to the private service, costing the same money that we were a few years back. Is staffing shortage, not just the community service, and just that we have new members that we're training and trying to get hired here because they're locals to the community, and we want to keep bringing folks in here. And those individuals, if they don't get hired, they'll probably go elsewhere. And for anybody who's been trying to hire anybody, they know that there's not a lot of people knocking on the door, especially in public service. Other than that, just want to commend the chief for everything he did, and I thank Paul Grenier for his nice words. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Do I have anybody else this evening that would like to speak toward the proposed FY2027 budget? Once? Twice? I'll open up to any council comments. Council comments?
This is more of a process update than it is to the budget. The this budget that there's, so there will be more discussion in the hearing process. Council has a
Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick comment. I worked pretty hard to get that budget down and to make some cuts. And the council didn't agree with me on a lot of those, which is the nature of the job, I guess. But that's okay, because I think at the end of the day, we care about our community. But I just wanted to highlight a couple things. And I'm not going to rehash some, the differences in the numbers that I came up with and the pushback that I got. But I did want to make a general comment that, what I'm seeing is when we're doing our budget, kind of put on us to justify the cuts. And that's not how budgets work. Budgets work by justifying the spending. And so, you to give us, and I believe Mr. King mentioned this, about how many positions you have, what are these costs, what are this costs? And it's not really a lot of information, but we could have. So I did a little digging this year. I was able to some of that information, and that's where I came up with my cuts. I did make a couple mistakes, kind of solo here on some of these things, and those where I made a mistake, they know who they are. But I just want to kind of reiterate that when it comes to our taxes and things like that, when we reevaluate a home and the value of the home goes up, that's not to try to get more money. It really isn't. Okay? What's supposed to happen in a budget world is the tax rates go down. Okay? We're being fiscally conservative. We're trying to make sure we're efficiently spending our money and doing things properly. The value of my home I want to be as high as possible, and then that tax rate will be low. So it really is about spending. And so for me, next year, I guess, I'll be looking at justifying spending, not justifying the cuts. What I will say, the 3 departments that came in that really did a great job at justifying that spending. They had their budgets laid out. And that way, they money's coming from, and realistically, I see the process with all these, probably make it a little bit easier. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Also comment? No. Phil, off the top of your head, when the budget was proposed in March, do you remember what the tax rate was when it was initially presented?
The first one was 3 and change when we first started.
No. So, if you do remember, so when it was initially proposed, I want to say it was 3 and change, closer to the $4 mark. And as you can see, there were a lot of tough decisions that went through, and a lot of departments definitely shared the weight across the board to get it down to where it is. It's not saying, you know, next meeting we're going to go over budget and review things and see if there's more to get out of it. But the way it is presented to you is a lot of work. Need a quality service for our taxpayer. So there is a balance that has to be made. That, again, I'll offer it up one more time to the council. Any other comments? Go ahead, sir.
Thank you for turning out for this evening. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Councilman Robert Theodosh. I live on Cates Hill. I've always advocated that the strength of any body lies in diversification of voters. We have elections coming up this year, so bear in mind that vote for somebody who will give strength to our city council, our state legislature, and whatnot. But please turn out and vote, and thank you for being here.
At this moment, I will close the public hearing on the proposed FY2027 budget.